Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax, let's do this.
Chasing the 20s is proudly partnered with these fine companies. Railblazer. Think outside the tackle box. Go to railblazer.com for all your boating and kayak accessories. Achigan, the official brand of smallmouth bass. Go to achigan.com and check out all their smallmouth apparel. Ken's Jigs, custom-made fishing jigs. Go to Ken's Jigs on Facebook or call 570-850-9153 and make your order today. Little Miami Outfitters Elite Rods. Go to littlemiamioutfitters.com to find your next elite rod. Nico Baits, the next generation of soft plastics. Go to nicofishing.com for all your soft plastic needs. Thanks for joining us today, and let's get into the show.
Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome back, Carlisle. How's it going, my bud?
It's gone good. I'm going stir crazy.
I hear you.
I haven't fished in like 3 weeks, and I'm going nuts.
I lucked out and got out on Friday and caught my first. I was trying to catch my January fish, and I finally got them. On the last day of January, I caught my January fish. So, man, it was a long time coming, but that was getting skunked from the bank.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Getting quite a few times I went out in January and got skunked. So it was nice to actually pick up one there on the last day. But I wanted to say welcome everybody to the Chasing the 20s podcast, and to anybody that's checking us out for the first time on Paddle and Fin. Wanted to thank the guys at Paddle and Fin for agreeing to let us come on the show and join the team, and to kind of welcome me back to where I got started. For those of you who are tuning into Paddle and Fin, have been listening for a while, you might remember me from doing the Bass Fishing for Noobs show for I think 4 or 5 years that I did it. So it's good to be back, and thanks to everyone at the Paddle and Fin for welcoming us with open arms. So super psyched to be back with them, and just to be back on the team again. So welcome to everybody tuning in for the first time to our show, Chasing the 20s from Paddle and Fin. We're glad to have you guys. And also, of course, thanks to everybody who was following us before when we were flying solo for sticking with us. And, we're going to bring the same great info on fishing the river just to a little bit wider audience, hopefully. So,
yeah, super excited about that. Partnering with Paddle and Fin. Not only have I watched their show ever since I started kayak fishing, but it's great to have a bigger audience also to talk about our wonderful river here in Pennsylvania, the Susquehanna River.
Yeah. And, that being said, we want to get right into the guests we have tonight. I've known everyone that we're going to talk to tonight for quite a while now, and happy to call them good buds of mine, and just great anglers all around with tons of great information. I've learned a lot from them over the years, and just super psyched to bring them on and have them share their knowledge with you. So I guess we can just bring them in, right?
Yeah, bring them on in.
All right. Welcome, Mike and Ryan. We'll let you guys introduce yourselves if you want. Mike, if you want to go first. I know Mike's been on Paddle and Fin quite a few times. I know you've talked to John Rapp, and a couple other times we've had you on. And Ryan, I don't know. Have you ever been on anything? No?
Nope.
Hey, what a perfect podcast to start for your first one,
Yep.
We do have one more guest, and he just got back to me. He's going to be a few minutes late. He's on his way back from the Bassmaster Kissimmee chain event they had So he'll be joining us soon. So if you guys want to go ahead and start with Mike, introduce yourself, let the people know who you are and how long you've been fishing the river and whatnot.
All right, Carlisle. My name is Mike Reinhold. I've been fishing the river since I was probably 6 years old, different sections of it. I started out the first probably 20, 25 years fishing a lot of the lower sections of the river, Harrisburg down. And once I get into kayak fishing 13 years ago, I started doing a lot more of the upper stretches of the river, North Branch, West Branch, so on. So the two areas fish significantly different, especially different times of the year. So depending on what area you want to, your anglers or your viewers want to key on, we can help them out, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to get into that once you guys introduce yourselves. That's kind of the base of the show tonight. Was I wanted to do a show not giving away all the juice, but kind of give people ideas on which seasons and where to look for smallmouth bass in the river. Ryan, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, how long you've been fishing, how long you've been kayak fishing, stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Reardon. I've been I'm 25 now, but I feel older than that fishing on this river. I've been fishing it since I was a young kid, usually above the Harrisburg area. Started kayak fishing. It's been a hot minute. I know I jumped into KA pretty early on, so been involved ever since.
Nice. I mean, it shows because you always see Ryan's name close to the top of the leaderboard when we do have them events.
And you've been angler of the year before, right, Ryan?
Not for Central. I've been second, third.
Oh, man. Okay. Gotcha.
I won AOI.
Okay. I remember seeing a picture of you holding a big trophy. So,
yeah, that was quite a few years ago now.
Nice.
That's all right. I like to think, me joining might have taken away some of that,
So, since we got you guys introduced to the show, we always do something every week, and we ask all our watchers to submit pictures of their catches that they caught on the Susquehanna River, and we're going to go through them. And what we're going to do, and I didn't announce this on the group page, but we are going to pick the best picture, and Ken's Jigs is going to give away a little gift package, and I have everything written down here. So once we pick a winner, we will tell them what they won. So Sean, if you want to go ahead and start that off with the first picture of the week.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll bring up Mr. Tom Gilmore sent us this nice pic of him holding a smallie. So thanks, Tom, for submitting your picture.
And then we got Scotty Hepner with what is it, about an 18-incher there. Nice fish, Scotty.
And that next guest, Ryan, I love your pictures, man. When you're the facial expressions are always great. So thanks for submitting that. Nice picture there.
Absolutely. And then we got my wife, Nicole Esterly, with her nice smallmouth bass that she caught from the bank this past year.
And we have another picture from Mickey. If you guys remember, we had Mickey on last week, I think, and he is still finding tanks on the river. I just saw him on Friday. He was actually out on the water when I was fishing from land, so I got to see him catch one out there. And he's been using Ken's blade baits, so the same thing I caught mine on. Yep. So thanks, Ken, for again providing those.
JP Pool with a nice Susquehanna smallmouth. Looks like probably close to fall. Color changing in the background there. That looks like a nice fish.
And our buddy Jake Houseman with another huge tank. Jake is known for catching the big ones.
That thing's a tank.
Yeah, that's a pretty picture too. So thanks, Jake, for submitting that.
And we got Brian Butcher with another beautiful smallmouth, Susquehanna smallmouth. Beautiful. Thanks for that picture, Brian.
Yeah, look at the belly on that thing. We have Brandon Livermore also submitted one. Looks like another nice fish. You guys are, it's awesome to see you guys out catching fish. So keep those pictures coming. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah. Then we got Alan Naylor. That's probably his son, but geez, what a tank. I got a message from him saying that he caught that fish on a topwater popper and gave the rod to his son to reel it in. I would have loved to see the video on that. And then we have, go ahead, Sean.
Yep, the last one that we got was from Alex Goby. So Alex told us that he caught both of these guys on a donkey rig at the same time. So anytime you can double up, that's always awesome. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with the donkey rig, it's like a double fluke rig. So you always have the chance of doubling up on that rig. And Alex was lucky enough to actually hook up with two at once on the donkey rig. So congrats, Alex, and thanks for the photo.
Yep. So me and Sean already picked the winner. We went through the pictures before the show started, and we're gonna go with where's the one with the young boy?
Yep, right there.
So that's gonna be our winner this week for the gift pack from Ken's Jigs. It's gonna be 1/8 ounce weedless ball head jigs, 3/16 weedless tube jigs, and 1/8 ounce black underspins. So Alan, if you could go to our group page and send us your information for your shipping. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. Thanks everybody for sending in the pictures.
Yeah, and keep them coming. We'll definitely keep doing giveaways off and on as we move forward here. So, and thanks to Ken for providing that gift pack too. We appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I see Josh is in the background.
Yeah, let's bring him on in.
Why don't we bring him in? Hey, Josh.
How's it going, brother?
It's going good.
How was your drive?
I'm not driving home tonight.
I think
good.
I think he's still there. Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, I was going to say that'd be a heck of a drive.
Yeah.
But Josh, for those of the viewers that don't know you, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Josh. I've been.
I think we figured that out.
And I suck at fishing in Florida, I tell you that.
Hey, different beast down there, isn't it?
I looked at the leaderboard yesterday, Josh, and I was scrolling down, looking through the top 10, and I'm like, where the heck is he? Where the heck? And my thumb just got tired.
Sandbagging.
Scrolling down. I thought you were sandbagging.
Don't they have smallmouth down there?
No.
Gross. Who wants to fish that? No, I'm just kidding.
Not me again.
No, that's tough though. Like I said, I've heard from so many people that Florida is just a different beast altogether. But the chance at getting a double digit, man, how do you turn that up or pass that up?
Yeah, it didn't happen for Josh this weekend.
No, it did not.
So where did you finish at, Josh, on that Kissimmee chain?
I have no clue. The leaderboard's off right now.
I seen it was off.
So the awards are over.
I know. I checked it earlier today, and the leader had like 201 inches.
Yeah.
And he was from Florida, so it was probably a local. But yeah,
I had a better day today though. After having 2 fish yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
What was your big fish today?
20 3/4.
Nice.
I had a 20 1/2 too.
Okay.
Nice. So you really made up from yesterday.
I didn't make much up, but I made up a little bit.
You caught a limit.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Good
There
job.
you go.
I was talking to Sean earlier today, and I said, you know what? I think Josh might have left yesterday. I thought you were leaving because I seen you leave a lot of local tournaments when things weren't going well. Well, not a lot, but I've seen you think about it a couple times. But I'm glad you stuck in. I'm glad you stuck in there and at least salvage something out of it. Well, good job, Josh. We're glad to hear that you got on some fish today, and you just want to tell the people how long you've been kayak fishing and where you're from and all that.
I'm originally from Jonestown, Pennsylvania. I live in Muncie now, right on the West Branch. I've been kayak fishing since, I think, 2018.
Okay.
Nice. So as you guys can tell, we have a wealth of experience with us on the show tonight, and yeah, we'll jump right into kind of picking their brains and see what their thoughts are. We kind of figured we'd start we'd go seasonal, and being as we're in the thick of winter, as much as that's my least favorite season to fish.
I agree with you there.
We figured we'd start with winter and see what you guys think. What kind of strategies, how do you locate fish, and what do you think? I know one of the things I wanted to talk to Mike about was hair jigs, because I know Mike was the first person to kind of introduce that topic to me, and I remember talking to him about everything from line choice, line diameter, and how much of a difference that plays in everything. So I was kind of curious about that, but any input any of you guys have, I'm all ears.
Yeah, so like what I wanted to get out of this show was spring, summer, fall, winter, like real quick. Like what do you guys, we're going to start off with winter, like Sean said. What do you guys kind of look for when it's winter time, and where do you think you'd start? Like where would you go just to see if you catch a smallmouth on the Susquehanna? We'll start off with Mike if you want to go ahead and answer that.
Sure. I mean, the winter season to me starts once the water temp hits 45 degrees and below. And like I say, I fish a lot of the lower stretches of the river, which are dam controlled. So they're more impoundments than they are free flowing. They do have current. They do have a lot of deeper areas than the upper part of the river, say like from Harrisburg north, with a lot more deeper holes, a lot slower current, and their forage base is different. Once the winter hits, forage base in the lower sections like Long Level, Conowinga, Lake Aldred, those kind of places is all based on shad. In other words, there's a much larger forage base when winter first hits. So you can actually work your jerk baits, bigger jerk baits. The vibrating jigs are great. Ken's Jigs makes a really nice vibrating jig. Normally I'll throw a 1/2 ounce in silver, just very basic. And believe it or not, I throw it on 20-pound fluorocarbon with a flipped stick. And the reason I do that is I'll lose very few. I can usually pull them out, straighten the hooks, whatever. When the water gets down to the low 40s and down through, I'll go almost strictly just with the hair jigs and the blade baits. There again, the blade bait is a pretty simple presentation. In other words, it's just cast it out, lift that you can feel the vibration, and let the bait fall. 9 times out of 10, they'll hit it on the fall. It either won't hit the bottom, or you will feel, depending how heavy they're feeding, you might feel a little tick in the line. Nice. Hair jigs I throw mostly all on a 7-foot medium light spinning rod with 8-pound monofilament in green. I've tried braid, I've tried fluorocarbons, and with me, the monofilament just gives me the feel that I'm used to, the sink rate that I'm used to, and the amount of line stretch I want. In other words, I want a little bit of line stretch in that hair jig because I want it to just barely tick with the current. And normally I'll throw an 1/8 ounce, and the hair jigs I throw are very, very small. Ken's Jigs makes jig heads for me, along with my friend Mark Ness, and they're on a very small, almost a trout hook. And the hair jig itself is not much longer than the bend of the hook. If you've ever been in the lower stretches of the Susquehanna in the wintertime and rolled a rock over a log or anything like that, there's an insect larvae, and I'm sorry I can't tell you exactly what kind it is, but it's about 1/2 to maybe 3/4 inch long at the very most, solid black, and there'll be hundreds of them on a log. And that's a big feeding point for the fish down in this area, and also the north stretch. I mean, I've caught tons of fish on hair jigs in Penns Creek, Conecuina Creek, the main branch in the spring when you can get out on it that the water's decent. But the key to the hair jig is the drift you get with it. And that depends on what stretch of the river you're in. Normally down here, there's not much current. So I'll fish the 1/8 ounce on 8-pound monofilament so that it does pick up the little bit of current that's there or the little bit of drift I'll have with the wind with my kayak. And you just want it ticking the bottom. You don't want to lose a hair jig every time you cast, but you also don't want to not lose a hair jig all day long.
Yeah.
Either way you're not going to get bit very often. You will lose a bunch. I mean, I usually tie probably close to 500 a winter, and I'll use a big portion of them until late spring hits. But black is the only color I throw there. Again, I base that on the forage down here, the small insect larvae that they eat. I fish with guys, do deer hair jigs, and they've caught, fish on it, but it's just my confidence bait is that small black hair jig in the wintertime. Up north, Penns Creek in the springtime, usually from about first week in April on, I'll go up there and pretty much all I throw is a hair jig. And the higher the water, the better. And even the muddier the water, believe it or not. Get the right drift rate down through the rocks. It's just deadly.
Wow. So the monofilament, is that something that helps you not snag as much?
Well, for me, it's the right sink rate of line. It doesn't really float, doesn't sink real fast like a fluorocarbon. And I've fished it for so long, I know the different current rates and wind rates I can throw it in. If there's virtually, a lot of current, I'll drop down to a 6-pound test so the line doesn't catch as much of the current, it won't get as fast a drift or even in the wind. Rare occasion, I'll go to a 10-pound test. Normally, though, it's all 6-pound or 8-pound. And one of the best days I ever had was up on Connequina Creek, where it was, I think it was 12 foot at Harrisburg. And everything was pushed up in the creek. And the first, I'm going to say 3/4 mile of the creek, there was no current between river water pushing up in and a little bit of breeze pushing up in that day. So I actually dropped down to 4-pound test and a 16th ounce hair jig because I basically had to work it myself. And it was lights out with the right amount of action on it.
Wow.
So they were all stacked up in the.
Oh Lord, yeah, they get
current.
The mouths of the creeks in the springtime get crazy,
especially when the water gets high.
Yep, the higher the river is, the better.
So, Josh, do you do much winter fishing in the river?
I do zero.
I guess the west. How deep is the deepest parts of the West Branch? If you would be fishing the West Branch, it's not real deep up there, right?
There's spots that are 15, 17 foot deep.
Okay. So you don't own a dry suit and go out in the wintertime. You'd rather travel to Florida.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame you.
I do not like the cold.
I don't know.
Oh man, I was just I was going to go out today, and I went out and picked up dog poop for the first time in like a month, and my hands were numb after 10 minutes of that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah. Well, we had kind of a warm couple days ago, and it started melting all the ice, and I was kind of looking forward to getting out this weekend, and then it's like it's not even really that cold. It just feels super cold out. It's 30 some degrees, and it just feels colder than what it was a couple weeks ago, and it was 4 degrees. But
well, Ryan, how about you? Yeah, I know it's hard to get you sometimes out for the brown fish, but
oh yeah. No, I do some, but it's. The last time I think I went winter fishing was probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that was a trip up the Penns with Josh, and it totally had sucked.
Yeah.
But I usually throw I like a 2-inch paddle tail, and I will slow roll all day. Net rigs, you can get bites on them, but I'm better off taking my trout rod with trout lures and going out. Because, I mean, the bigger the baits, spring and summer, sure, but during the winter months, I mean, you really got to downsize it.
Yeah. So Mike threw out some juice there for winter fishing. I never would have thought about monofilament on a hair jig. That's some juice right there.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we can move on to spring then, because who doesn't love fishing in the spring? I wouldn't say many people probably would not like that. So we can go backwards this time. Ryan, what's your spring go-to, or what do you look for? What are you throwing?
So springtime for me, before trout season rolls around, and then I throw it all, back. I'm a sucker for creek mouths. I will always have a spot in my heart, whether it's a trout stream that empties in, depending on the water temperature. I mean, it's a bigger factor that time of the year. If it's 3 to 4 degrees warmer than the main river, it's lights out and they're stacked up. If it's the same temperature, they'll be in there if there's some bait. But if it's cold, just keep going past it. And I personally, come springtime, I like to throw glide baits, not big ones, but I will throw 4 or 5 inch glide baits, and obviously a jerk bait, but that is
That's
so
my favorite.
situational for me though in the spring, because they're either on the bottom or they're chasing. And if they're chasing, I'm trying to power fish and not have to sit there and throw it out, dead stick it. I can't stand being slow and methodical. I have to keep power fishing constantly.
Yeah. Nice. What
So
about
with
you,
your glide
Josh?
baits, are you letting that sink
My
and just slow roll or retrieve, or how? I haven't thrown glide baits much. I just started this year with like a 6-inch one, but I didn't throw it on the river much just because it was so shallow.
Personally, I like the slow sinking. And if they're chasing and they're moving, I'll get it moving pretty quick. But if that water temperature, for me, 50 degrees, anything below 50, I want a dead stick and be slow. So at that point, depending on the glide bait that you're throwing, it can get pretty dicey and expensive.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is lose a $40-$50 glide bait, So
Yeah.
I try to play it by the water temperature.
Yeah. Nice. What about you, Josh? Spring, what do you do in the spring? What do you look for?
In the spring, I'm pretty much the same as Ryan. I go creek mouths or deeper eddies. But bait wise, it's pretty much, for me in the spring, it's pretty much a Ned rig or small swim bait.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
So far, it's everything that I don't use in the spring, except for the jerk bait. I use the jerk. I crushed them last year in the spring on the jerk bait.
Yeah, almost made me a believer. I'm still trying to learn my jerk bait bite, but Ned rig is
I love it.
My go-to 90% of the time. So
yeah,
I'm picky about them.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and I know it's very, I don't want to say hypocritical, but some of these like knockoffs that you see guys are selling to like Division 110s, they don't have the buoyancy, and they just flat out sink, and they're not, I personally throw a Vision 110, the full size. I don't go with the junior. So for me, it's expensive, but it is worth throwing them.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yeah, for some reason last year I tried a Division 110 junior, and just like the name says, junior, I caught all small fish. Like one cast after another, small little 10, 12 inchers. But I guess depending on what the bait's doing, and big ones will eat it too. But what about you, Mike? Springtime, where are you going and what are you using?
Yeah, springtime, I'm looking at 50-degree up water temperature. Depending on the river height, the creek mouse, just like the other guys, up the creeks if the water's really high. It's my favorite time of the year to fish because I'm a jerkbait fanatic. I love fishing, suspending jerkbaits. Most of my arsenal are Lucky Crafts, anything from a little pointer 65, which is about 3 inches long, up to the pointer 100s. And we fish them on, we like to weight them depending on the temperature of the water and the speed of the current. So we'll either use suspend dots, suspend strips, or I like to buy golf tape at Dick's. You don't have to put so much of it on at a time. You can cut smaller pieces of it. One thing I can tell you in the spring that works amazingly well, and it's against everything anybody will tell you. If you're out in your boat in an eddy, throw down current. And bring the jerkbait with the jerkbait and bring it back up to you 2 or 3 jerks at a time. Let it drift back about 1 jerk. Do it again, reel up, let it drift back. If it gets in their face for a long period of time like that, a lot of times they just can't resist it. A lot of times in the spring with the height of the river and the height of the creeks, if you throw cross current or quartering, it'll drift by that fast that a lot of fish will never even bother to react to it. I mean, it's still fairly cold for them.
Yeah.
Late spring, with the spawn coming on, a lot of times you'll find an area where you might be throwing a suspending jerkbait, letting it float down, and just you want it to barely tick the bottom as it's drifting. So there again, you may have to weight it a little. You may have to change line sizes. You may have to go from a monofilament to a fluorocarbon to get it down. But what will happen a lot of times when those fish are on a bed, you can't see them. They may be in 6, 8, 10 foot of water. But as it drifts by it, they'll come out and hammer it. They won't eat it. And you'll feel that dunk and nothing. You do it again, dunk and nothing. So the next time, put a little more weight on it, let it drift down, that it hangs on the bottom just a shade longer. And when they hit it, just let it there. And usually you'll feel them hit it again right afterwards. And you can catch a lot of fish that way that you've been missing throughout that time of the year where they're actually sitting on beds or preparing to sit on the beds. There again, you can still, depending on the area you're fishing, a crankbait in the spring is good. The crayfish are just starting to come out in that 50-degree range, so you can slow crawl a crankbait across the bottom. There again, don't be afraid to do it downriver because you can bring it back up and keep it in their face a whole lot longer. So,
yeah, I was surprised actually that nobody said that. I'm glad that you said that because last year, I went up to Penns Creek and threw a crankbait, and I had a good day. It was April, and the water was a little high, and it was windy out, and I was like, I'm going to Penns Creek. It's a little more protected, and I went up in there with the crankbait, and I was cracking them. It was fun. What about you, Sean? What do you like to throw in the spring?
In the springtime, I was just going to say, I will go with a crankbait a lot of times just because I feel like I can cover water a lot and go slow or fast depending on what the mood of the fish are, how much they're chasing at that point. I mean, Ned rig is always one of my go-tos, and I like that because you can throw it. I don't necessarily look for beds or bedding fish, but I know that that's a bait that when you drop it and just let it sit on a bed, will often get hit. I mean, a lot of times they'll hit it just to move it off the bed, but anytime they have it in your mouth, you got a chance to grab them. So, that's one of my times where, and I like to, I've been playing around with running some skirt material through my Ned rigs to make it look, a little more fancy. And it's quick and easy. And I feel like I get more bites doing that. So,
there's some juice.
Yeah.
A little juice poured out. I guess it's that time of the show. We take a little commercial break, a little 30-second break, and then we'll get back. When we come back, we'll do the river levels real quick, and then we'll get into summer and then fall. So we'll see you guys in a second.
All right, guys. It's time to check out our river levels for this week. We'll start with Lewisburg up on the West Branch. It looks like it is dropping. I don't know, Josh, if you can say much. Is it frozen up there? I've heard. I just saw a bunch of people talking about it being still pretty frozen up north.
Yeah, it's real frozen.
That's what I thought.
There's a lot of ice.
Do people ice fish at all? Is that a thing? Like, I don't know. I know on Redmond people have been trying it. They actually just had a rescue on Redmond earlier this week, but I didn't know if that's a thing on the river. I know when there's a few times growing up, my school bus used to drive past the river and I'd see deer out on the ice. So I know it was at least thick enough to hold deer.
Yeah. That's probably why he doesn't. That's probably why he doesn't winter fish, because it's frozen up there all the time.
True. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? We have Towanda on the North Branch. That actually looks like it's rising. Or it looks like a little higher than it would normally be. Harrisburg, that's dropping, which surprises me a little bit. And then we have Marietta, which is rising. And I was just talking to Mickey a little bit about this. Yes, he's like, "Are you working tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, unfortunately," because he's like, "I think we're gonna get a rise and should turn the bite on down here. So if you can get out tomorrow and do it safely, might be a good time to hit the river." So, thanks for the river levels, and thanks for Rapala for that little short there. So
Railblazer.
Sorry. Yep.
Thanks for doing them river levels, Sean.
Yeah.
So we'll jump right into summertime. I know we all fish in the summertime. It looks like Josh has been fishing in the summertime with the way his face looks. What was the weather down there today, Josh?
It's mid-80s.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
That'll be tough coming back from.
Yeah. Wow.
Although in Florida, that's probably, if you're going to be in Florida, that's probably the time to go. Versus, when we're summertime up here in Florida, it can be pretty sticky.
Yeah. Was it humid or anything, or was it just like nice 80 weather?
No, it's been really nice all week.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sweet. So I guess we'll start with Josh for this one. Summertime fishing. I know sometimes we all struggle in the summertime to locate the fish. Say you're out in the river, Josh, one hot summer day, and you're really having a hard time struggling looking for fish. What do you focus on what would be like your next step to go find smallmouth?
I would look for the fastest water you could find. And in the summertime, I throw nothing but topwater. Unless it's, which we haven't had real high water the past couple years. But if the water gets high, then I'll throw spinnerbait or chatterbait, but mainly focusing on mid-river islands and the fastest water you can find.
Gotcha. Yeah, we had a really low water year this past summer, low and clear all for a long time over the summer. So it was, for some people it made it really difficult to catch fish, but I didn't do too bad over the summertime. I know I fished with Sean a lot, and we both did pretty good in the low clear water this year.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? What do you look for in the summertime when the bite gets really tough, and what are you throwing?
Well, it took me years to learn just how shallow smallmouth on this river will go in the summertime. In other words, they'll sit in a riffle where you think they'd get sunburn on their back, and you burn a spinnerbait through it, burn a Kitech or a Big Dipper through it is a real good approach. Rising water. I'll be honest with you. I suck at summertime fishing. I know Josh and Ryan, they excel at it. They love to power fish. I don't do a lot of power fishing. I have started the last couple of years with wake baits. Last year I had some excellent results throwing wake baits on the shallow islands, that kind of thing. But the one thing I'll look for, and if I can plan now that I'm retired, I can kind of plan my days. If there's a rise coming in the river, I don't care if it's only 6 inches, I'm going and pound the banks, because those fish will move up on the banks chasing that bait. And you throw a chatterbait or a top water, it's usually a very successful day.
Yeah. I threw wake bait a lot over this summer. I was real successful with it. It was probably one of the only years so far that I really put that in my hand just about every time I went out. And top waters, whopper ploppers, whatever, stuff like that. But I think the whopper ploppers the smallmouth kind of seen that a little too much over the past couple years with the Bassmasters coming up here with everybody throwing whopper ploppers, but they still bite them. It's crazy. What about you, Sean?
Mine changes up from year to year. 2 years ago, I threw the Rico popper and wore that thing out, man. I had, all the paint, all the paint off the side, missing an eye. The hooks were trashed by the time I was done with it. I remember I ended up buying the feathered trebles to replace the back hook because it would just get just demolished from getting crushed over and over again. And then last year I started throwing the popper, end of spring into summer, and it just didn't work the same. It didn't seem like that's what they wanted. And of course, fishing with Carlisle, and he's like cleaning them up on a wake bait. I was like, well, I got to try that. And once I started throwing that kind of quickly, I put down the popper and really threw the wake bait a lot. I threw the Chapo a little too, and did okay with that. But the wake bait, for whatever reason, seemed to clean up last year.
I think it was because of the low clear water. A lot of it.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, is that
shower blow?
Shower blows. Yep. I was just gonna say I started throwing that too, and that is also a very cool bait. Is that the little shower blows or is that the regular size?
It's a 5-inch.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I really like that one, and I wasn't gonna say that one, but hey,
Don't sleep on the 77 shower blow either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I caught bigger fish on the 77 than I have on the full size.
Yeah, I threw the full size the same time I was throwing that Rico popper, and I actually had better luck with the popper. So then I decided to try the smaller shower blows, and I agree with you. I feel like it does just as well, if not better.
Now, Josh, when do you change the hooks out
on the shower blow?
Yeah,
I do not on the shower blow.
Really? I always had problems with the hooks bending out
with the shower blows.
Yeah,
I thought that
maybe I need a softer rod. Maybe I'm just yanking on them too much. Probably need a softer rod for that. Okay.
Ryan, did we hit you up for your summer lures?
No.
Boy,
he don't want to give them.
and a corn in a jar power bait. That's what I got.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some of the trout that you catch, man, and I'll be honest, that I could see the draw of that. I've seen some pictures of Ryan holding some pretty dang big trout. So
it's impressive.
Yeah. So I could definitely see the draw of that.
What he didn't tell you is he soaks all his baits in twisted teas, so that's kind of.
Yep, there it is. I was going to say, I mean, you should ask them if they do sponsorships, Ryan. I'm telling you.
That would be terrible. That would
get a banana boat.
Don't encourage him.
Wrap your Hobie in twisted teas.
What can
you
go
look like
wrong?
A banana boat out there.
There you
go. No, I do got a good bit of stuff for summertime. I mean, it can suck, and I'll be honest, like low and clear water, I lock a whopper plopper in my hand, and I will jump out of the kayak and I will walk. I don't even I don't want to paddle. I need to. You need to be stealthy.
Yeah.
You got to get up on them, and you just really got to play your cards right. Because if they see you, you might as well just keep walking. The way that they do sit, I mean, you look at some of the islands out in the middle with tree cover, and if there's a little bit of shade and a little bit of bait, their backs will be out of the water. And if you walk up current, you know, if you're floating down, they're going to see you, and the chances of you landing a big one at that point are going to be gone. So I always jump out and I walk. I'll get out and walk miles. I mean, go up one side, maybe you'll get one or two, but they're going to be big ones. You know, and then you float down, go back up the other side. And it really does all depend on, you know, if it's cloudy or sunny, but I've had the most luck doing that. And I always have a second rod as a follow-up right behind me. My tether's a little longer than what it should be. But I try to keep a Senko as a backup. So if they miss it, blow up, and I still have an opportunity, I'm throwing that Senko out, and 9 times out of 10, if they're going to eat it, you know. But a couple instances, like what was it, the end of August there, middle maybe, we had that storm that came up, and I mean the water came up pretty high. I went down to the Conaguna where it emptied in, and like, I'm going to do something stupid today, and I don't recommend doing this, but the river was so high, the Conaguna is just about at flood stage, and it just, like Mike had said, it pulls it up. And I actually launched my kayak in the parking lot. And, you know, situations like that, and I don't recommend doing it unless you're experienced, and don't ever drop your anchor because you don't know what's underneath you at that point. I went up probably 2 or 3 miles and I pedaled, and there was virtually no current. Threw a big, and I mean a big spinner bait, big blades, the type of stuff that you really wouldn't want to throw. But when the water's like that in the summertime, I was in people's backyards, and it was a slaughter fest.
Wow.
They get out of the current and they will lay super shallow, and you're not going to see them obviously, but the bigger the bait, the better when that water's up. Because I'm telling you, and this spinner bait looked like something you'd use down in Florida for 10, 12-pound largemouth, and you can't be deterred throwing a big bait for smallmouth. Their appetites are just, I've already seen them eat trout. Now, granted, you know, they were only a big, but 7-8 inch trout, smallmouth will engulf that all day. I mean, look at it all with glide bait. So, and it's important too on your rod selection. You know, little hidden secret, top water, I use glass rod, throwing a Chopo and a whopper plopper all day.
Yeah.
You don't have to set the hook 9 times out of 10, and I always change the hooks out brand new out of the packaging. And I've had a better hookup ratio with a glass rod and changing out hooks. I mean, it's a killer.
Now, when you're walking, when you say you get out of your kayak and you're walking, pulling your kayak behind you,
Mm-hmm.
do you downsize your line so you can cast further when the water's clear and low, so they don't see you?
So, you know, the glass rod that I got 7.2, so it's already a pretty long rod. And I run just straight 30-pound braid, but I have the reel set just right where I can just whip it and go. But, you know, if you're using a shorter rod, I would say downsize to, I wouldn't be afraid to throw 15-pound braid if you have a good knot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it really all depends on your rod size. If you got a long enough rod, you can keep that straight braid and you can run 30 plus at that point.
So you go straight braid right to the lure. You don't even put a leader in there.
Nope. I personally,
you're running the same thing that I run. 30-pound braid, no leader for all my top water stuff.
Yep.
and you can whip it out there. I use the same. Well, I don't use a glass rod, but the rod that I have is it acts like a glass rod. It's pretty soft.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, if you can invest into a glass rod, and not even so much for top water too, but even crankbaits and chatterbaits. If you're not ripping through grass, you're not
Forget
having
it.
a time.
Yeah.
So I actually throw my chatterbait on a St. Croix glass rod. It's heavier than, like, it's not like a crankbait rod. It's a little bit stiffer, and I feel like I do better on that specific rod with crankbait or with chatterbaits. So
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like the Mojo Bass ones. The Legends are more pricey, and to me, they're more heavy. So I don't have big hands to begin with, and I like something that's lighter. So that Mojo Bass, and it's still pricey. You're paying for a St. Croix, but you're not paying top dollar. And I still think it's a good quality rod. Don't get me wrong, but for the price point and just the feel of it, it's so much better than the Legend ones.
yeah, I'm not sure. I had initially bought that rod as a crankbait rod, but it was way too stiff. Like it did not have that medium bend that I like for my crankbait rods. I thought with the glass rod it would, but for some reason I forget why. I think I ended up accidentally, I didn't have my normal crankbait rod with me, and I ended up needing to tie on a crankbait, and I put it on that rod, and I just started pinning them, and they weren't getting off, and ever since then that's my go-to crankbait rod. So. Or chatterbait rod. Yeah.
It's great. I do love them. They're pricey, but at the end of the day, you're catching more fish, and your hookup ratio is just so much better.
Agreed.
There's some juice there.
Good info.
So, all right. Well, and then we'll move on to the fall. Fall can be great when they strap on that feed bag to get ready. That can be some of the best times. I know both Carlisle and I did well last fall. But Mike, you want to go first on fall fishing? What's your thoughts?
Sure. Fall normal water levels. I'll usually lock 3 rods in my hand. One will have a fluke on it. One will have a jig and crawl combination. I mean a large crawl. And the other one will be a big paddle tail swim bait. And between those 3, if they're feeding, you'll find them. It's just a matter of getting it in front of them. The crayfish that time of the year are pretty much at their biggest, getting ready to mold out, go into winter. And they'll feed up on them like crazy, depending on what section of the river. I don't know if you've ever been below either McKees or the one right below Marysville, the falls. But if you get below there in the fall time, the rocks below them will just be covered in crayfish skeletons. I mean, thousands of them as they mold out and get ready for the winter time. The fluke there again is they're starting to feed on the bigger bait fish the end of the summer, and you can't work a fluke fast enough to take it away from them. I mean, if they're chasing, it just looks like PT boats coming through the water and the V behind them chasing them.
That's
and
cool.
The big swim bait, put it out in the shallows or the deeps, either way. But if they're eating on them, it's a bite that's great to experience in the fall.
When you're throwing your flukes, are you nose hooking, or are you using like a worm hook, or how you?
Normally, I put them on an EWG and Texas rig them.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll throw a double rig depending on the time of the year. But one thing I learned up on the North Branch a couple falls ago is I threw the Super Fluke Magnum, which is to me a huge bait.
Yeah.
They just annihilated it. The regular fluke they wouldn't even look at, but the Magnum they just eat it.
I'm kind of excited to see Chegan's new bait that they're coming out with. It looks like a giant fluke, kind of. So we're hoping to maybe have that as a topic on the show here coming up soon, but we'll see. That's a work in progress, but so I'm kind of curious how that will work. I've heard good things, so
Does he knows hooks that, right?
I believe. Well, they're coming out with two different kinds. The first one that's available is a nose hook one, but there will be one with a belly slot for a regular either EWG or worm style hook. So
Right.
Well, depending on the cover you're fishing in with a fluke, you can also, if you Texas rig them on an EWG, you can also hang a treble hook off the bend of the EWG and bury one of those hooks in the belly of the fluke.
Oh,
if you get a lot of short
juice
strikes,
right there.
Ones that
yeah,
come up, just bump it without eating it. So
I've actually heard of doing that, and that seems like it would be a pretty good hookup ratio there.
you just got to watch unhooking them. There's a lot of hooks.
When we were talking about the shower blows, that was going to be my main reason for not going with the full size. Just one less set of troubles to have to not get in me.
Yeah. I always hear about the wolf packs in the fall, but I've yet to find a wolf pack. I catch one here and there, but I never have found a big group where they were wolf packing up and
another hint for you: if in the fall throwing the big big skinny dipper or a big Kitech, I rig it a little different than a lot of people. Most people put them on a belly weighted hook or just a jig head with an open hook. I actually Texas rig them on an EWG and then screw a tungsten weight into the nose of them. And what that does is you can throw it through any kind of cover. It won't get hung up. Grass, wood, anything. And in open water, if you wind it, it allows the bait to roll 180 degrees each direction. Instead of the tail just going like this, the bait will actually roll up and come back down, roll up and come back down. It gives it a whole different action.
Big wobble.
See a lot of it. Yeah.
Wow. Mike's giving us all the juice.
Well, save some of it. You got to save some of it.
You got to save some of them. Like
I like to see everybody catch fish.
Who wants to go next? We're talking fall. Want to go, Ryan?
Oh no, it's what time of the year? Oh,
But were you on the archery stand in the fall or what?
I wait till the rut and then I hunt archery. So I'm fishing up until November, typically.
Yep. Same.
But it's, if you can experience it out there, I live in Dolphin, so I'm right above the Statue of Liberty now, and the fall time out here is just insane.
Yeah.
The wolf packs, you hear about them. And once you experience it, it is lights out. And I stick to a few baits, and it all depends typically on the day. Jerk bait, and I will throw the biggest swim baits I have in my box, 7-8 inch swim baits. Possibly a glide bait. It really depends. Like this year, it was just so chock full of grass. It was almost impossible to sit there and throw a glide bait around. So I ended up just using a 6-inch mag draft, and it was some ungodly hook I used, and I had it weedless. It was rigged weedless with a weighted swim bait hook, and your hookup ratio wasn't the greatest with it, but it did what it had to do. And it's really depends on the grass. Like I said, something like that's great, but it changes every year. Some years there's no grass, it's all blown out, it's washed out. This year it was pretty miserable, even in the summer. It wasn't fun. We were constantly just pulling grass off.
Even just for your top water baits.
I was just about tempted to get a weedless frog and, go that route if I needed to. But it was not a pleasant fall. I did decent there at the end, but jerk baits, bigger swim baits, glide baits, and I do like flukes. Preferably, I went with the fit ones. I know they just had a change of ownership, and I haven't seen the new ones. I don't know if they changed anything around, but they used to be called the River Darters. And I get the solid body ones. And I was a firm believer in nose hooking, 1/0, 2/0, and depending on the grass situation, you could get I guess like it was a weedless wacky rig hook from BKK. And I mean, they just smash it. Absolutely devour it. But again, I don't know, if they changed anything up on them. I haven't ordered any. But before their transition, they were top of the line, and I had bought a lot of packs, and I burned through them. But it's all personal preference at the end of the day. You can talk to 3 other guys, and they like 3 different other fluke brands, but the fit ones are definitely my favorite.
Nice.
So, I mean, check them out. Again, I never had any issues with them. So they're good, really good.
Nice. I never fished that area of the river up there by the Statue of Liberty. I always wanted to make it a point to get up there, because I've seen videos on YouTube where, especially in the fall, where they do wolf pack up and catch them one after another on glide baits and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to make that a point for this year to get up there in the fall and maybe even in the summertime just to get the jits of the whole area.
The only time I ever fished it was with Ryan and Josh for the Hobie, and that was the day Ryan broke his paddle, and I about flipped my kayak like 2 times, so it was a little sketchy, but it was so fun.
It is dangerous, on the safety topic of things. If you're nervous of moving water, ledges, that sort of stuff, don't try to go down through it.
That's probably not the area to learn.
Yeah,
I did it once, and I'll never do it again.
It wasn't that bad. You're
think,
just a little short, so you fill up with water quicker.
I think the best way to take on that section would be from downriver and slowly work your way up it and check things out, right?
I mean, Fort Hunter is right there, and like there in the summer, it was super low to the point the jet boats couldn't really get up there. And getting up there won't be a problem in a kayak. But, once you hit that first big ledge, like it's big. You really can't get up over, especially on the Duncannon side. It's all elevation. So to even come up from the bottom, it isn't bad, but you're not going to be able to go around and up and over.
Right.
Same thing goes with trying to float down. You really can't go down the West Shore side because just the sheer amount of elevation. I mean, you're going to flip, roll. It's not safe.
That's probably one of the reasons why I never fished up there.
Yeah, it's gnarly. And even, below Duncannon there, above the statue, there's a ledge up there that it claims guys gear every year.
Yeah.
There's one big shoot, and if you hit it right, great. If not, hold on, because it's 20 feet. It's deep. It's not a shallow ledge.
Yeah.
You can't see the bottom. The one guy we fished with, Jimbo, we all fished it 2 years ago. His dad was in a pro angler 12. Dad's a pretty good river fisherman. He hit that chute, lost it, and just rolled it. Absolutely rolled it.
Wow.
So it's not bad. Well, that's bad. McKees Falls, that's manageable as long as the water's high. Seen a guy go over in a Vibe, and I did it in a Hobie. I mean, it's sketchy, but you got to stay in your comfort zones, and if it's not safe, do not do it.
We did McKees Falls last year for the first time, and we did it okay. It was a little puckery factor there at first. I'm like, we really going to do this? Okay, let's do it. And we made it.
Sean went first, and I said, if I see him flip, I'm paddling backwards. But it wasn't bad. I mean, it was more of an eyesore than actually doing it, And the water was low too, so it wasn't Super
Oh,
bad.
that's balls of steel. I'm only going to do that again if it's 5 foot and over. I never seen a pro angler nosedive and pop
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
Poor Josh. He was in the native at the time, and that
I
dude
went
was
completely underwater.
Wow. Thank goodness for scuppers, right?
Well, if you don't have the scupper plugs in,
Oh no.
I didn't
man.
flip that time. I got the plugs pulled, but it was filled right to the brim with water.
Oh wow. Well, that's a testament to how quickly that can drain out then if you didn't go down. But
Yeah.
do you have
Yeah.
anything inside your hull that for flotation or anything like that?
Just what comes with the kayak.
Just what comes in. Okay.
That's why. But I've flipped the Pro Angler 14 too.
Yeah.
I still don't know how that happened.
That's impressive. That's not an easy boat to roll over. I'm sure not an easy boat to get back over once you have flipped it either.
It's not. It was blatant lack of respect for the river.
Yeah.
Well, how about your fall baits, Josh? I know you did pretty well in the kayak anglers tournament usually. So
Well, not just baits, what you look for, like eddies or whatever.
What I look for is either I fish mainly grass islands in the fall or big feeding flats.
Where
And
they
I
push
only,
bait up.
yeah, anywhere there's bait. And I primarily only cycle through 2 baits: a wake bait and a 5 or 6 inch swim bait.
gotcha.
Simple man.
Yeah. Hey, simple but effective. So
You see his boat and 15 rods on it at a given time.
hey, the ends justify the means, I guess, right?
Usually there's 3 or 4 wake baits on there and 4 or 5 swim baits.
Yeah.
I threw a couple different wake baits last year. Carlisle had found one. Is it a mega bass one, Carlisle? I think.
Yeah.
That both of
The
us seemed
Rev
to have the
strength.
most look. I threw a Strike King one that did okay, and there was a custom guy around here that makes them. I threw his too. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but both Carlisle and I both had by far the most luck on that mega bass. It just seemed to really draw them.
I'm gonna give a little juice out here while we're all giving out juice. That bait works 100 times better with a feathered treble. If you put a feathered treble on the back of that thing, you will get 100 more bites. I'm telling you. I've thrown it both ways, and with that feathered treble, them fish just key in on that feathered trebles. You would not believe how much they key on that thing. So there's your juice from the Esterly boy.
Same thing with the suspending jerkbait bite. Always keep one with a feather treble tie on. Because
Now you put it on the back.
Average day.
You put it on the back, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Something about that feathered treble. I don't know what it is, but I guess it must be looking like a bug or something. I don't know.
I know the Rapala Husky Jerk used to come with a feathered treble on the back, so
Yeah.
that doesn't surprise me.
So there's my juice for the month.
All right, guys.
Anyway,
Well,
we're getting ready. We're going over an hour here. We want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing a lot of your experience and your baits and stuff like that on the Susquehanna River. We hope that everybody learned something. What we're trying to do with this show, guys, is help all the other anglers that struggle. And that's why we brought you guys on, because you guys have a lot of experience and you do really well on the river. So we wanted to get you guys on and give a little juice out. And hopefully we help somebody that wants to get into it or is already into it and is struggling.
Do you guys have any social media or any other shout outs you want to do while you're here? Wanted to open up the floor to you guys if anybody has anything they want to shout out.
I just want to thank Ken's Jigs. I mean, Ken's been a big part of the jigs I use now, and he's always a supporter of all the kayak fishing organizations. Josh, you have a safe trip home, long drive, get a good night's sleep. Ryan, I'll see you on the trout stream next, I guess.
Starts in 2 weeks, delayed harvest.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to see everybody, because we're all smallmouth fanatics. I'm hoping to see everybody next Saturday at Smallmouth Saturday at Susquehanna Fish and Tackle.
I'll be there.
Sweet. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Next Saturday.
Josh, you have anybody you want to shout out or anything?
No,
You're good?
I'm good. I'm
All
tired.
right, guys.
Yeah, Josh,
Yeah,
get a good night's sleep and have a safe trip home. And hopefully you came up in the standings a lot more than what you were yesterday.
Hopefully.
All right, guys. Well,
Finish. It's always a good learning experience.
that's what I told Carlisle as soon as he told me that Josh had a rough day yesterday. I was like, oh, but man, I wouldn't leave that in a second just to at least
I've learned more in the hard days than the 100 fish days.
Yep, absolutely. What about Ryan?
Okay.
Ryan, you got anybody to shout out to or anything?
I mean, Twisted Tea. You know, if anybody's
Hey,
No,
Twisted Tea, if you hear that, Ryan's looking for a sponsorship.
No, I want to thank Ken. You know, I use a lot of his jigs. I actually got to place a new order for trout jigs because I'm about low.
Ew.
Hey, don't knock it till you try. And I want to thank you guys for having us on. You know, it was good to get on and talk to everybody and kind of give some information out that hopefully helps the next guy. You know, and my final words of wisdom: don't complicate it, don't overthink it, keep it basic. Best thing to do.
Well, you know, all the kayak angler guys are going to be listening to this, and we're going to have a hard time defending our, back-to-back team championship now that we spilled all the juice for the Susquehanna.
Hey, there we go.
Well, we got to be careful, man. It's going to get tougher and tougher to bring that back every year.
Right here, boys.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for coming on. Thank you to everybody who tuned in live, and everybody coming over from Paddle and Fin. It's great to have everyone watching, and hope you all enjoyed the show. And tune in next time. Carlisle, do you have anything else you want to add?
Just wanted to thank everybody for coming on, spilling the juice, and we'll see you out in the water, guys. Be safe.
All right, guys. Take it easy and have a good night.
See you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.